Well, hello, I'm Yael, and today I'm going to be sharing with you 5 sequential steps that you need to help your curious little one learn to read. As I go through each step, you'll notice I'll be talking and addressing specific skills that the child will learn, and it's really important to make sure that they hit these different things in the correct order. That is going to put them on the best path to be able to decode written text and read with fluency. Step number 1. Start to help your child recognize distinctions in sounds of words by practicing that on a daily basis with objects and things around your house that you already have. For example, offering an apple to the child by saying, "Would you like an apple?" Or you can also distinguish the different sounds in the word like apple. So there's different ways you can play around with this, but the key here is to make sure that you're focusing on those sound distinctions. Another way you can do this is by playing around with syllables. So would you like a banana? And have them clap and play around with those syllables. Elephant.
Elephant.
Another way you can practice different sounds of words with your child is by using picture cards or animal flashcards. And this is such a fun and interactive hands-on way to help them practice their initial or beginning sounds of words.
Can you find the one that starts with the B sound? Very good. B. A quick tip I have that's quite important is that when you are practicing these different sounds in the words, that you make sure to pronounce them correctly because it might confuse the child later if you don't. So for instance, the letter D, making sure that you're pronouncing it D instead of duh, because the latter implies that there's a vowel after the letter D, and that's incorrect. And it's also gonna confuse your child once you start to get into the land of blending sounds together. Now comes the fun part, step 2, and that is putting the sounds that your child has practiced to the symbols. Here's where we start to really focus in on initial sound fluency, which is basically the ability to recognize the beginning sound of a word. The most efficient way that I have found to introduce the idea of putting sounds to symbols for a child is through the use of flashcards and songs. I will say though, you want to make sure that you're introducing 1 or maybe 2 sounds at a time so that a child is really becoming acquainted with this idea of a written symbol for the sound. And what you'll start to see is as they pick up in their learning, they're going to be able to acquire and understand and recognize new symbols really, really quickly.
Caterpillar.
Very good. I highly recommend you use flashcards like this that are high contrasting, and that is because you really want to help the child focus on what the symbol looks like and be able to pair that with the sound. When I was approaching teaching vowels and consonants, I decided to do that separately, and I used 2 different methods for introducing this to my children. One was a really fun song from a curriculum that I used in my reading research, and it incorporates a little bit of movement and also singing to help the child really start to recognize each of the vowels. Octopus, ox, said the rain was coming soon. Next, I have this really cool beatboxing consonants activity that helps the child to practice different sounds in a rhythmic pattern. And I find that music and rhythm is really great for a child to use to practice reading because it builds fluency. And so that's a very consistent rhythm. And then when we combine the T and the K, it would sound t, t, k, k. Now I did want to mention that I use 2 different curriculum workbooks with my child because she really learns well when we implement those types of materials. And one is a literacy pre-K folder and the other is a preschool curriculum workbook. Both are created by another YouTube creator named JDA. And I highly recommend this if your child is anything like mine and really loves a balance between hands-on interactive learning and worksheets. Step 3 is where the child is going to start practicing the blends of different consonant and vowel consonant sounds. And what we're building to is an understanding of how to blend CVC words or consonant, vowel, consonant words. The way I like to do this most efficiently is by introducing this idea of word families. And so what the child will do is they'll be given a vowel and a consonant, and that is going to form their first blend at the end of the word. And then they're going to add a consonant at the very beginning of that word. And as they become more comfortable, they will change out that first consonant and keep the ending of the word. So they're also practicing rhymes. Can you put those together? Ham. There's so many different ways that your child can practice word blending with CVC words. And the idea is to provide multiple entry points. So really tap into your child's interest. If they like referencing pictures, you can use pictures. If they like to grab everyday objects, you can use everyday objects. And that's really gonna drive their motivation to relate what they've learned as far as sounds to actual things that are relevant in their everyday lives. So here's how I like to introduce the relationship between the lowercase letters and the capital letters. Before I have them do multiples like this, I will just isolate one and show them that that is the mommy letter, and the mommy letter goes with the baby letter. You can say the big brother and little sister, whatever is relevant to the child to kind of get the idea that one is bigger than the other. Once she finishes this activity, we will go through and I'll ask her and I'll point to each of the letters. And so we'll say z, z, p, p, t, t, j, j. Another extension to this activity is after the child matches these up and they practice these initial sounds, you can go ahead and have them grab the cards that they used before to practice their sounds and match up the cards with the sounds. And that really reinforces their knowledge of what these initial sounds are for the lowercase, and now pairing that with the capital letters. Step 4. Once your child has really started to take off with their consonant, vowel, consonant sounds, they can now engage in reading simple literature like Bob books. Bob books are my favorite to introduce at this stage because they are simple and really easy wins for a child who is just starting to read.
Sunset. Sunset.
Around this time, you can also start to incorporate some sight words, which are really important to learn and memorize because they don't really follow the same phonetic rules that CVC words do. Now, if you're wondering what are the sight words, I have linked below 2 sites that you can visit. There are different word lists and they're made up of high frequency words. The first is Fry's list and the second is Dolch. It really doesn't matter which one you use, but what I personally like to do is as the child is encountering these different sight words in their literature, we will put that up in a place where the child can see it and practice it on a daily basis as we're engaging in the literature. Last but not least, step number 5. As your child really starts to gain momentum with their CVC words and some sight words, it's a really good idea to consider a curriculum or some type of supplement that might help propel them into more complicated decoding.
This is a very simple primer that I like to use. It's called Alpha Phonics, and it introduces all of the more complex consonant and vowel blends, 2-syllable words, contractions, and things like that.
One last overarching bonus tip I will leave with you is this. It is so important for you to read with your child and let your child explore books on their own on a daily basis. I would encourage you to have books all around your home so that your child can readily grab and explore them. I sincerely hope that you found this video helpful today, and if so, please be sure to give it a great big thumbs up, a like, and subscribe for much more content to come on all things homeschooling and home learning. Take care, be blessed, and I'll see you in the next one.